The vast Imperial fleet emerged from the black void of space, stretching across the horizon, like an ocean of metal, and light. Their ships, massive and gleaming, pulsed with the energy of advanced technology far beyond anything humanity could ever imagine. The fleet was composed of dozens of colossal warships, supported by hundreds of smaller craft, all designed for the singular purpose of conquest and subjugation. They had traveled for millennia, in search of new worlds to dominate, and Earth was their next target. The alien forces were confident in their superiority. They had wiped out countless civilizations across the galaxy, each more advanced than the last, yet none had been able to resist their might. They knew of Earth only through brief observations. It was a primitive world with no spacefaring capabilities, nothing but a young species struggling to understand the stars, and even so they knew it had potential, a resource-rich planet ripe for the taking. As the fleet entered the outer reaches of the solar system, their commanders felt a collective thrill. The prospect of claiming Earth excited them, and they were certain it would be no different from the countless worlds they had already conquered. They were used to seeing fear in the eyes of those they had subdued, to hear the pleading voices of those who begged for mercy, but they knew there would be none here, not from them. At the helm of the lead warship, the commander stood tall with eyes that had seen the rise and fall of countless species across the stars. He looked out across the fleet with a deep sense of satisfaction. The long journey had come to an end. Earth would be his to command. He spoke softly into his communicator, his voice rich with authority. "Prepare the landing crafts. The invasion begins as soon as we enter the atmosphere." On the bridge below his second-in-command, a younger officer leaned forward, her fingers flying over the controls as she input the final coordinates. Earth's coordinates flashed across the holographic display, and she turned toward the commander, nodding in approval. The fleet's course was set, and Earth's fate was sealed. As the immense ships moved closer, their engines thrummed with power, each warship more than capable of laying waste to entire cities. The alien force had come to overwhelm, not to negotiate. They would burn their way through the planet's defenses if they existed at all. Meanwhile, on Earth, the scientists and military leaders had been working tirelessly ever since the first signs of the fleet appeared on their distant radar systems. The alert had come through unnoticed by most at first, but soon a few sharp minds realized the magnitude of what was happening, and within hours a global summit was called. The leaders of the world gathered in secret to discuss the oncoming threat. Among them was a brilliant young scientist, Dr. Lucas Byrne, who had been part of a program that was supposed to remain classified forever. His research into advanced defense technologies had not been for the purpose of repelling an alien invasion, but it would have to suffice for this fight. He had worked in silence for years building prototypes that no one could even imagine, much less put into action. Now it was time for humanity to show what it was truly capable of in the face of extinction. The decision was made: the world would fight back with everything they had to defend their home. Earth's defense forces would prepare, and in the shadows, humanity's hidden weapons were about to awaken. The Imperial fleet remained unaware of the storm brewing below them as they sailed toward Earth in perfect confidence that their victory was assured. As the Imperial fleet drew closer to Earth, the invaders were met with silence from the planet below. No signs of resistance or preparation could be detected. Not that they expected any. They had faced countless worlds far more advanced than Earth and easily crushed them. But something felt different this time. The anticipation hung thick in the air like a storm ready to break, yet the fleet sailed on unopposed. On Earth's surface, however, the situation was far from calm. In deep underground bunkers scattered around the world, military leaders and scientists frantically analyzed the data coming in from every corner of the planet. The detection of the incoming fleet had been the first shock, but the discovery that Earth was under direct threat of invasion had sent waves of panic through governments and military organizations that had never before been united in such a way. Despite their fear, humanity was no stranger to adversity, and in the face of a threat like no other, Earth's leaders knew one thing for certain: they would not go down without a fight. Dr. Lucas Byrne stood at the center of a command center in a top-secret facility, watching the streams of data pour in from every global surveillance system. His mind raced as he examined the incoming signals. The alien fleet was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered, but he had a feeling they were underestimating one crucial thing: the human spirit. The military was preparing for the worst, but they had little time to get organized. The aliens would arrive within hours, and Earth had no true spacefaring fleet to meet them. The old world powers had spent years focusing on ground forces, air superiority, and cyber warfare, but none of those would hold up against an alien force capable of traveling across the stars. The only thing that could stop the Imperial fleet now was the very ingenuity and resilience that had made humanity such a dangerous species. Dr. Burns' mind flashed to the work. He'd spent years developing the systems he had created in secret for a future no one could predict. Weapons and defense systems so advanced they were beyond what most believed possible. Even in the scientific community, these systems were built with one goal in mind: to ensure humanity had a fighting chance if it was ever faced with a threat like this. The first defense was humanity's cyber capabilities. Earth had been preparing for cyber warfare for decades, and while most of the world's attention had been focused on other issues, a select group of engineers and hackers had worked tirelessly to develop a network capable of disrupting even the most sophisticated alien systems. Der Burn tapped his fingers on the table in front of him. As he finalized the launch codes, the first step was simple enough: send out a massive electromagnetic pulse across the fleet's systems to disable their shields and weapons. The aliens would be momentarily stunned, and Earth's fighter jets would take advantage of the opening. But it wasn't enough. They needed more. The second step was even more daring. Humanity had developed advanced laser technology that could cut through the toughest metals and shielded armor. When combined with the capabilities of Earth's most advanced drones, these lasers could be delivered with pinpoint precision to cripple enemy ships before they even had a chance to land. Dr. Burn turned to the military generals beside him, his face grim but determined. "We have one shot at this," he said. "If we don't act fast, we won't survive." The world's military leaders nodded in unison. The time for preparation was over. It was time to take the fight to the invaders. Unbeknownst to the Imperials, they were about to face something no one else had ever experienced: humanity's ability to adapt to impossible odds and rise to the challenge even when all seemed lost. As the Imperial fleet descended into Earth's atmosphere, the first signs of panic began to show within their ranks. The moment the alien warships crossed into the upper layers of the atmosphere, their sensors buzzed with unfamiliar readings. There was no organized military resistance, no signs of an opposing force waiting in the wings. The commander of the fleet, confident in the outcome, ordered the landing crafts to deploy, their sleek forms slicing through the air as they moved toward Earth's cities. The invaders' laughter echoed across their warships as they imagined the chaos that would soon unfold. Yet beneath that veneer of confidence, something was off. Small cracks began to appear in the Imperial fleet's certainty. The invaders had anticipated a planet of squabbling nations, each vulnerable and easily conquered. What they didn't expect was the unity of the planet's response. Earth had no single army, but a vast network of forces spanning every corner of the globe, and it was mobilizing in ways the Imperials couldn't comprehend. While the alien landing crafts streaked across Earth's skies, the planet's true defense forces were being activated. Massive underground bunkers opened across continents, revealing vast arrays of technology humanity had developed in secret. Air defense systems that had once been nothing more than theoretical concepts now hummed to life, powered by human innovation and adaptability. Satellites stationed in Earth's orbit locked on to the incoming fleet and, in perfect synchronization, launched a series of electromagnetic pulses that blanketed the Imperial ships, overwhelming their shields and weapon systems. The invaders' initial confusion was palpable, and within moments, their technologically advanced systems sputtered to a halt. The Imperials had no idea what had hit them. Their communications were jammed, their weapons rendered useless, and their shields faltered as if struck by a phantom force. On the ground, Earth's military assets were already in motion, while human fighter jets soared into the skies, swarming toward the enemy ships with unmatched precision. The first waves of missiles, lasers that could cut through the hardest metal, tore into the alien crafts, shattering their hulls with surgical precision. The invaders' landing crafts were obliterated mid-flight, their trajectories altered by the violent explosions as their systems failed one after another. In the chaos, the aliens attempted to regroup, but they couldn't adjust quickly enough. The humans were relentless. Fighter jets, equipped with technology years ahead of the alien ship's defensive systems, locked on to their targets, firing laser-guided missiles that sliced through the Imperial fleet as if it were paper. For every ship that fell, another took its place, only to meet the same fate. The alien strategy was to bombard Earth from orbit, but their weapons systems were now compromised. Every strike they launched went astray, missing its mark. Back in the command center, Dr. Byrne and his team watched as the real-time footage streamed in from Earth's surveillance systems. He felt a surge of pride as he witnessed the destruction of the invaders' forces, his years of work coming to fruition in the blink of an eye. The strategy was working. The human-made weapons, though crude compared to what the Imperials possessed, were now dealing crippling blows to the alien invaders. Their forces were scattered, and the human fighters were everywhere, adapting and countering with ease. Despite the aliens' attempts to launch counteroffensive strikes, the humans anticipated their every move. The battle had only just begun, but already it was clear the Imperial fleet was losing its grip. Their once confident commanders were scrambling, unable to comprehend how a species they had deemed inferior could wage such a devastating attack. But Earth's defenders didn't stop, didn't hesitate. They knew the fight for survival had only one outcome. The Imperial fleet was about to learn that it wasn't technology that made the difference, but the sheer will to defend home at any cost. And Earth was willing to do whatever it took. As the Imperial fleet's warships staggered through Earth's atmosphere, disarray began to spread like wildfire among their ranks. Their technology had never faced a coordinated response like this, a force that seemed to know exactly how to exploit their weaknesses. Alien commanders, once proud and confident, now scrambled to regain control, but their advanced systems were being systematically disabled by Earth's countermeasures. The sudden loss of communication, the disruption of weaponry, and the constant barrage from Earth's military left them stunned. Back on Earth, Dr. Lucas Byrne watched as his plan unfolded before him, his heart racing as he saw the effects of their strategy unfold. The EMP pulses had hit with more precision than he had hoped, and Earth's military, working in unison across the globe, was quickly capitalizing on the alien fleet's confusion. Fighter jets darted across the sky, dodging incoming alien fire while retaliating with an almost perfect accuracy. The Empire had underestimated the power of human ingenuity, the ability to adapt under pressure and turn their knowledge into a weapon. It was Earth's military precision that truly began to show. With the fleet's shields down, the incoming fighters now had a chance. Laser-guided missiles launched in rapid succession, piercing through the Imperial's warships like a hot knife through butter. Alien ships that once towered over anything humanity could muster now seemed fragile, their hulls buckling under the concentrated fire. Massive explosions lit up the sky as ships tumbled, pieces of debris scattering like fireworks. The Imperials had expected to face no more than a few surface-to-air missiles and rudimentary defense systems. Instead, they encountered a global force united by the survival instinct that all humans shared, an instinct they had honed through centuries of warfare. And despite the imbalance in technology, it was clear Earth's unity and resolve were proving to be far more powerful. On the ground, Earth's armies had begun to mobilize with devastating efficiency. Soldiers, equipped with enhanced exoskeletons and powered armor, technology that had been kept secret for years, rushed to the front lines. These soldiers, once considered the stuff of science fiction, now wielded cutting-edge weapons capable of taking down any extraterrestrial threat. Armed with anti-gravity cannons and high-energy rifles, they laid waste to the alien ground forces attempting to land. The once pristine beaches and cities became battlegrounds where human resilience was on full display. No matter how many Imperial soldiers attempted to advance, they found themselves swiftly defeated by human tactics. Back in the command center, the intensity of the battle was palpable. Earth's military leaders, alongside Dr. Byrne, coordinated every move with precision. They knew the aliens would attempt to regroup, to adapt, but they also knew that humanity had an edge. The ability to think outside the box, to push beyond the limits others set for them. The invaders' tactics were predictable, and that predictability was now their downfall. The Imperial commanders, in their desperation, finally ordered a full-scale orbital bombardment to rain down on Earth's cities. The weapons systems on their ships, however, had been compromised beyond repair, and every strike was off course, missing its target. As the bombardment fell harmlessly into the atmosphere or fizzled out before reaching the surface, Earth's counter-offensive grew stronger. It was becoming clear. The Imperial fleet was losing. They had underestimated humanity's adaptability, their readiness, and above all, their willingness to fight for their home. The aliens had come expecting to crush a weak species, but they were instead facing a force unlike any they had ever encountered. And the longer they stayed, the more their defeat became inevitable. What had begun as a swift and calculated invasion was now turning into a desperate retreat, and the Imperial fleet, once poised for victory, had now become a target of humanity's unyielding resolve. The tide had turned. Humanity was no longer the prey. Now, the invaders were the hunted. The chaos within the Imperial fleet was palpable. What had been a confident and synchronized operation just hours ago had transformed into a frenzied scramble for survival. Alien warships, once commanding and proud, now drifted aimlessly through the atmosphere, their systems failing one after another. The unexpected human response had shattered the fleet's coordination, and with their communications disabled and weapons systems ineffective, the Imperial commanders found themselves unable to issue orders. Panic spread like wildfire across the once unified forces. On the command deck of the lead warship, Commander Threx stood frozen, staring at the displays before him. The magnitude of their failure was too much to comprehend. His once mighty fleet, capable of crushing entire civilizations, was now a scattering of wreckage. His hand hovered over the emergency command panel, but each attempt to regain control of the ship's defenses was met with failure. Earth's weapons had overwhelmed them faster than he could have ever imagined. Threx's second-in-command, a sharp-eyed officer named Varna, looked to him with a mixture of disbelief and fear. She had seen their kind sweep through countless worlds, leaving nothing behind but ruin. Yet Earth had done what no other species had done: resist them and fight back with a ferocity that none of them had anticipated. She could feel the shift in the air, a growing sense of dread as more ships fell. Their numbers were shrinking rapidly, and with every passing second, Earth's forces were gaining ground. "We need to retreat, Threx," she said urgently. "The humans are overwhelming us." The commander's jaw tightened, but he knew she was right. They were losing. The once mighty fleet was now nothing more than a collection of broken vessels. He turned toward the view screen, watching as Earth's fighter jets swooped in and out of the wreckage, their lasers cutting through alien ships with ruthless precision. The humans had adapted, and in doing so, they had turned the tide of battle. Threx opened his communicator, sending a message to the other commanders of the fleet. It was clear now that Earth would not be easy prey. It would take everything they had just to escape with their lives. The fleet had underestimated the humans, and it had cost them dearly. But even in the face of defeat, the commander held onto a shred of hope. The Empire had the resources to rebuild, to regroup, and to try again. But that hope was fleeting. As the Imperial forces began to retreat, a new and terrifying reality set in. Earth's counteroffensive was relentless. There would be no escape. Even as the fleet attempted to pull away from the atmosphere, a new wave of human technology came into play. Thousands of human drones, outfitted with advanced targeting systems, began to swarm the Imperial ships like a cloud of angry wasps. These machines, powered by AI and driven by the collective intelligence of humanity, closed in with deadly precision. They bypassed the remaining alien defenses, drilling into the hulls of warships and severing their power cores. One by one, The Imperial ships fell, consumed by their own failures. In the skies above Earth, a brutal scene unfolded. The once mighty invaders had been reduced to nothing more than debris, their ships falling apart under the constant barrage from Earth's forces. And the humans, their morale soaring as they watched the invaders crumble, pressed on with no intention of stopping. Every alien craft that fell was a symbol of their survival, a message sent to the galaxy that Earth would not be subdued. Dr. Lucas Byrne watched all of this unfold in real time from his command center. The plans he had spent years developing were now taking shape in ways he could have never predicted. The secret weapons humanity had deployed were doing their job, but more than that, it was humanity itself, its adaptability, its sheer will to fight, that had turned the tide. The Imperials had come expecting an easy conquest, but what they found was a species that would not be defeated. As the last of the Imperial fleet began to retreat, Dr. Byrne allowed himself a brief moment of satisfaction. But there was no time for celebration. The message was clear. Humanity had survived. And Earth's message to the stars was about to be broadcast loud and clear. No one would dare challenge them again. As the last remnants of the Imperial fleet began to retreat from Earth's atmosphere, the full scope of humanity's triumph began to settle in. The once unstoppable invaders, whose warships had seemed invulnerable, now drifted helplessly in Earth's orbit, crippled and broken. Earth's forces, driven by a deep and unwavering will to protect their home, had utterly dismantled the Imperial fleet with a speed and precision that left the alien commanders stunned. The battle was far from over, but the tide had decisively turned, and the Imperials knew it. On the ground, Earth's cities buzzed with activity. The global military, which had come together under extreme pressure, continued to press their advantage. The skies were alive with the hum of drones and fighter jets, scouring the remaining pockets of resistance. The streets below, once fearing invasion, were now filled with people who had witnessed the unimaginable. An extraterrestrial threat was being repelled by humanity itself. In every nation, in every corner of the world, there was a collective pulse of victory. Earth had not only survived the invasion, it was making the invaders pay for their arrogance. Dr. Lucas Byrne stood in the command center, his eyes glued to the massive holographic display. The once dominant Imperial warships were now in disarray, their remains falling to Earth like burning meteors. The human forces had expertly cornered and neutralized the threat, and the alien fleet, once so confident in its technological might, now had nowhere to hide. The time for strategy was over. The Imperials had no escape route, and Earth was not going to show mercy. On the Imperial flagship, Commander Threx could feel the walls closing in. His ship, once the pride of the Empire, now drifted like a wounded beast, unable to defend itself from the relentless onslaught of human weaponry. His crew, once a well-oiled machine, was now a shell of its former self, scattered and disoriented. The humans had crippled their sensors, hijacked their communication systems, and decimated their engines. Desperation clawed at the edges of Threx's mind. Their retreat was no longer possible. The damage had been done, and they were being hunted. The final blow came when Earth's most advanced fighter jets launched a final coordinated strike, sending a barrage of high-velocity missiles into the heart of the Imperial flagship. With one massive explosion, the ship erupted in a flash of light, its once imposing form disintegrating in a cloud of fiery debris. The fleet's last hope, now reduced to space dust. Back on Earth, humanity had not only survived, but had shown the galaxy what they were capable of. There was no question now. Earth was no longer just a backwater planet in the eyes of the galaxy. It was a force to be reckoned with. The invasion had been a test, one that the humans had passed with flying colors. But as the last of the Imperial warships fell, a new reality dawned upon Earth. The message was clear. Humanity had defeated an overwhelming and technologically superior enemy. The Imperials had underestimated Earth's resilience, its ingenuity, and its capacity to fight back. But beyond that, they had underestimated humanity's sheer determination to protect their home. Earth had proven that it could stand toe-to-toe with any force in the galaxy. As the last Imperial vessel fell to Earth's firepower, Dr. Byrne looked up, the weight of what had been accomplished settling in. Earth had sent a message to the stars, one that would be heard for millennia to come. Earth would no longer be seen as a helpless, primitive world. They had fought and won, and now the galaxy would know that humanity would never go down without a fight. It was time for the next chapter to begin. Earth's place in the galaxy was no longer uncertain. They had earned it through strength, unity, and the refusal to surrender. And as humanity looked to the stars, they knew one thing for certain. They would never be the prey again. The final remnants of the Imperial fleet were scattered in the wake of Earth's relentless counteroffensive, their once proud warships now reduced to smoldering ruins, drifting aimlessly through the dark expanse of space. The alien invaders who had once filled the skies with terror and dread were now faced with an inescapable truth. They were the ones being hunted. Earth's forces, fueled by an unyielding resolve, had completely turned the tables. No longer were they the prey. Humanity was in control. Commander Threx, now a mere shadow of his former self, stood on the bridge of the last remaining Imperial warship, staring at the view of Earth below. His mind raced, consumed by thoughts of what had gone wrong. How had a species so technologically inferior managed to defy everything he had believed? The humans were supposed to be weak, easy to conquer. He had thought it would be a matter of weeks, perhaps days, before Earth was brought to its knees. Instead, the Imperials were being picked off one by one, their fleet collapsing faster than Threx could have ever anticipated. The defeat was undeniable. Desperation gnawed at his thoughts. He had been trained to never show weakness, to maintain control at all costs. But now, faced with defeat so total, he found himself at a loss. His communication systems were still in disarray, but he managed to send one final transmission to the fleet's remnants. Regroup. Retreat. Fall back to the outer regions of the solar system. We have no choice. But the words felt hollow, as if even they carried the weight of an inevitable end. The remaining Imperial ships, their crews demoralized, could only comply. They had no plan, no strategy. They had come to Earth with everything they had, an overwhelming force, and they had failed. Meanwhile, on Earth, the world's leaders watched the end of the invasion unfold. From military command centers to the United Nations, there was a palpable sense of disbelief, followed quickly by elation. Humanity had done the impossible. A victory that seemed unthinkable just days before was now a reality. The Earth had not only survived, it had crushed an invading fleet that had considered them insignificant. Dr. Lucas Byrne stood among a group of military and scientific leaders in a secure facility, his gaze focused on the screens in front of him. The last alien ships were retreating, their movements sluggish and disorganized. They had no coordination, no strength left to fight. Earth had claimed its victory, not through overwhelming firepower, but through a combination of ingenuity, unity, and determination. "We did it," said one of the generals, his voice thick with astonishment. "The fleet's broken." Dr. Byrne nodded, but his mind was already working on the next challenge. This victory, as monumental as it was, had come at a cost. They had taken down the Imperial fleet, but the galaxy was vast, and the universe was teeming with other alien forces. What if they sent reinforcements? What if the loss of this battle sparked retaliation from other, more advanced civilizations? Earth couldn't afford to rest on its laurels. Not yet. "We've sent a message," Dr. Byrne said, his voice firm. "But this isn't over. The galaxy will take notice, and we need to be ready for whatever comes next." His words hung in the air like a weight. Humanity had won the day, but the war for survival might not be over. As the last of the Imperial ships fled, Earth had made its mark on the cosmos, but it had also opened the door to a future that was both promising and uncertain. The surviving Imperials, battered and broken, retreated into the outer reaches of the solar system, leaving Earth's atmosphere far behind them. They could no longer afford to fight, but as they drifted into the void, their defeat would ripple across the galaxy, reverberating for centuries. Earth was no longer an insignificant world. It was a force to be reckoned with, and the message to the stars had been sent, loud and clear. Humanity was no longer just surviving. It was thriving, and no one, not even the most powerful empires, could ignore them. The question now was not whether Earth could defend itself. It was who would dare challenge them next. The retreat of the Imperial fleet marked the end of one battle, but as humanity looked to the skies, it became clear that their victory was only the beginning of something far greater. Earth had just proven to the galaxy that it could withstand an overwhelming threat, but the question remained, what would the galaxy's other inhabitants think of this? The Imperials might have been defeated, but Earth had made an undeniable impression, one that would echo throughout the stars for centuries to come. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted in every corner of the globe. The world had come together in the face of a shared enemy. And now, as they stood victorious, the unity they had forged was stronger than ever. But beneath the cheers and festivities, there was a quiet tension, a realization that this was only one small victory in the grander scheme of things. Earth had sent a clear message to the cosmos. We are not easy prey. We will fight, we will adapt, and we will win. But what would the repercussions be? Could the galaxy's other empires, those watching from the shadows, come after Earth next? In the command center, Dr. Lucas Byrne couldn't shake the feeling of foreboding that lingered in the pit of his stomach. The victory had been nothing short of miraculous, but humanity had only faced one invader. What if others came? The technology they had used to defeat the Imperial fleet was powerful, but it had taken everything they had to neutralize the alien threat. Could Earth continue to fend off more advanced civilizations? He knew that Earth's ability to adapt and innovate would be their greatest strength, but it would take more than just brilliant minds to secure their future. It would take time. What's our next move? General Harper asked, standing beside Dr. Byrne as they surveyed the damage done to the Imperial warships on the holographic map. We need to prepare, Dr. Byrne said, his voice steady but carrying an undeniable urgency. The galaxy is vast, and Earth is no longer an unknown world. We've made a statement, but we need to be ready for anything. There's a real possibility that other forces will come to investigate, or worse, retaliate. We can't just sit back and rest on our laurels. We need to build our defenses and expand our capabilities. Earth must be ready to stand on its own. The general nodded solemnly, fully understanding the weight of those words. The Earth that had faced the Imperial fleet with unity and courage would need to continue evolving. It was time to create alliances, explore the stars, and prepare for whatever the galaxy could throw at them. In the coming weeks, humanity's global unity began to take shape in new ways. While the world had already embraced the spirit of collaboration, now there was a collective drive to ensure Earth's security. Military alliances formed, technological innovations accelerated, and Dr. Byrne's research into spacefaring technologies became a top priority. Earth was no longer looking inward. They were preparing to step into the cosmos with confidence. As Dr. Byrne sat in his lab late one evening, staring at the data streaming in from the last Imperial warship's wreckage, he knew Earth had entered a new chapter. Their victory had not just been a defense of their home, it had been a declaration. The rest of the galaxy would now know humanity's name. They would know Earth's strength and resilience. And most importantly, they would know that humanity was no longer a passive species, standing in the shadows of the stars. Humanity had made its mark, and as the final remnants of the Imperial fleet drifted out of Earth's reach, Dr. Byrne's thoughts turned to the future. The war was over, but the real journey had only just begun. Earth had won this battle, but now, they were preparing to take their place in the universe. And the universe would never be the same again.